Hey, this is Carlos, GGS, taking a little mellow moment. Can't be on high gain all the time, right? Welcome back. Got a little tip for you today that's dealing with the arcane and really misunderstood topic of, well, these two strings up here, the B and the E strings. Why are they tuned different? Why is it the first four strings are tuned together, but these last two are tuned off by one fret? So that makes them just weird, man. They're out in there on their own. They're doing their own thing. What are they? Are they elite? Are they snobby? What is their problem? Why are the B and E strings up there all by themselves like that? Well, that's why I always teach guys, and I'm teaching you, don't look at the guitar as a six-string instrument. Look at it as an instrument with three sets of two strings. Number one, that's going to help you in terms of learning your scales. But number two, it's also going to help you wrap your mind around, your head around how the guitar is laid out. Okay? And without going too much into deep guitar theory here, I'm just going to tell you that those two strings are out there for the very simple purpose of, unfortunately, just playing chords and maintaining a certain amount of symmetry to the guitar. Because of the nature of the diatonic scale, the whole 12 notes that we have, right? If you were to go chromatically up, that's one octave chromatically. There's 12 notes in there. Well, that to accommodate that on six strings, and with the frets being spaced a half step apart and all that little intricacy, and you don't really need to wrap your head around it, the reality is that in order for me to be able to play a bar chord, or like the ones I opened with, which were those seventh chords, so those give you a little bit of a jazzy feel, those chords are very difficult to play if these strings were tuned up to the B string being a C, because that's what you would do if I were to tune the last two strings the way I would normally tune everything else. It would work out like this. Here's E, next string would be A, next string would be D. Okay, that's all well and good. Next string would be G, standard so far. Next string would be C. Ooh, that's weird, huh? Next string would be what? F. Now that throws everything off, because for me to do a bar chord, following diatonic and harmony and all those little conventions of musical theory, well, that would mean that I'd have to play all of these strings and bridge these last two strings up one fret. Do you see how that would get a little tricky for the fingers? There's part of your accommodation right there. That alone justifies the oddness of those two strings. So really, if you're starting out on guitar, if you're a beginner, or really wherever you are, I honestly didn't learn about this concept until much later. I figured it out and I realized, oh, that's a better way to think about guitar. Remember, I'm not just teaching you how to play these things on guitar, I'm teaching you how to think about guitar, because that's 90% of where guitarists go wrong in their playing, is they're not thinking about the guitar the right way. So think of it as four strings that are tuned together and have this weird little two-string, two-fret difference in the octave. The last two strings, the B and the E, are off by an extra fret. So you end up with what? 3 frets there. Now that becomes easier and easier as you start to see the patterns emerging from the scales that you play, from the chords that you play, but just keep that in mind and don't let the whole being off by one fret thing mess with your head too much. Here's another way I want you to keep this straight. If you're doing any kind of non-musical exercise, meaning any kind of chromatic or other kind of exercise, and here's one that most guitarists learn. Right? The chromatic 4-finger exercise, get your fingers warmed up. Okay, that 4-string exercise, you need to, the 4-fret exercise, you need to accommodate the last two strings differently. I want you to think about this all the time, that those last two strings are always one off. So when you do that exercise, do it like this. Move it up a fret. I started at the 5th fret on the first 4 strings, and I shift up to the 6th fret on the B and the E. That's going to help you a lot in keeping this in your head. Any exercise you learn, you might get from me, might get from other people, always accommodate and think about those last two strings being just a little different. And that'll help translate back into your playing, because you'll just have a natural feel for, oh, I got to shift up a little bit more to be working off those last two strings. I'll teach you this and many other little octave tricks and thinking tricks about how to think about the guitar so that you can play better, faster. Get twice as good half the time. This is Carlos GGS. If you have any comments, leave them below. Make sure you tell me anything you want to tell me, ask anything you want to ask me. I check in and I try and comment as much as I can too. And definitely get yourself over to guitargodsecrets.com. Get on my newsletter and get the arcane, intricate inner workings of the guitar, stuff that you're never going to learn from anybody else, to be quite honest. And, well, you'll be the insider, the one with all the knowledge, and getting better faster. This is Carlos GGS. I'll be talking at you soon. And make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of this stuff, man. It's getting good.